Well, I do believe that one can be a feminist and a Christian at the same time. And I believe that on grounds that Christian faith itself, in its affirmation of the creation of women and men in God's image, in its long tradition of discussing the covenant and the whole notion of mutual responsibility for one another, not necessarily specifically gender defined, in the understanding of shalom, which is peace, in a whole variety of ways. When I talk about feminism, what I mean by feminism is participation in the struggle for justice, really care and justice for women and between women and men. And I think there are grounds in the Christian faith for participation in that struggle. As with everything else, feminists themselves argue about how we know feminism when we see it, or how we know justice and care for women and between women and men when we see it, and some of the issues around equality, whether it means sameness, whether it means something else. I mean, these are all matters still under discussion, so I don't think we've got the matter settled, and we certainly don't have the struggle won. But I do believe that, at least certainly for me, the feminism that I try to articulate is really deeply rooted in my faith and my understandings of God's call and God's creation of what it means to be human in the presence of God.
Thank you. Sister Jean, since you didn't have a chance to be consulted on what's on this piece of paper in front of you, would you like to add any point?
Well, I like the last one a lot. Can a woman be a feminist and a religious? I very strongly believe that a religious woman must be a feminist, as well as must be anti-racist and anti-colonial and anti-militaristic. What I believe about God is that God transcends all of human life, and knowing God is something that will be a process of a lifetime, and that human communities must develop in their understandings and their relationships in order to know more about God. And the only way that happens is to break down barriers of power and control. I do not believe that real feminists are in competition with men. I think that what we are attempting to do is even out the playing field. And I think that if one believes that it is God's will that we become whatever in the end, then one has to commit to those kinds of struggles. So it's not a question of can one. To me, it's a question of how does one do it and do it faithfully.
Thank you. We'll move to the next part of the program, which is the discussants' participation in the program. And may I invite Dr. John Pawlakowski and Dr. Ivan Haddad to come over here. Imam Shakir, and we're supposed to have Sister Nancy Ali, but I assume she's not here. So Dr. Morsi, is he around?
I'm so grateful.
Somebody called for Dr. Morsi. He went out. Look.
You're going to sit over there and divide the house?
No, sit over here. Sit over here. Yeah.
Can you sit over there? Sure.
You're most welcome.
If you want to shift to our side, you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't like
Hi, physically, I mean.
Right.
Come in, please.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Great. All right. Thank you. And we'll welcome this gentleman right here.
Good exchange in here.
Maybe you should have said better change. I think it's a good idea.
She feels comfortable. Do you feel comfortable there?
Why not?
Good. Okay, let me introduce Dr. Ivan Haddad. Just move to this side. Dr. Ivan Haddad is Professor of Islamic History at the University of Massachusetts, acted as the president of the Middle East Studies Association from 1985 to 1990, and president of New England region of American Academy of Religion from 1985 to 1990. She is the author of several books on Islam, among which are the Islamic Values in the United States, Woman, Religion, and Social Change, and 6. There are also a couple of other books that are not mentioned over here, also Islam in America. I'm sure you will find her books very informative and very educational. She's also the editor, she was the editor of the Muslim World Quarterly from 1980 to 1988. Dr. John Palakuski, who just came over here, is a servant priest, professor of social ethics at Catholic Theological Union, author of 10 books, including Catechetics and Prejudice, Sinai and Calvary, and other books. He is the senior editor of Theological Review and member of the editorial board of Exploration and a few other journals. He had frequent appearances on radio and television in the United States, including ABC, CBS, and NBC, as well as many other countries. We have Dr. Hussein Mursi, who just came in right now. He's the co-founder of the Christian-Muslim Dialogue and Research Committee, which is different than CORD, the Committee of the Religious Dialogue. This one is located in Chicago over here. Participated in many Christian-Muslim dialogues, including the first 2 dialogues that we did. And Imam Shakir al-Sayyid is the director of the Islamic Teaching Center of the Islamic Society of North America, ISNA, and he's the director of the Board of Education of ISNA also. He participated in many dialogues before, and he's a well-known speaker and credited speaker within the Muslim community in the United States over here. I hope everyone has that piece of paper that says that your role is to make comments and enhance the discussion that took place. So I would like to start with any of you who's ready to give his input or her input.
Should we go ahead right here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This is a question to both sides of the aisle, as they say.
Yeah, get closer to the mic, please.
Okay. We've heard so much about the freedom of women, equality of women, so on and so forth on both sides. The question to the Muslim side, isn't it a sort of slavery to ask the women to obey their husbands to get to paradise? If that is the door through which they have to go, isn't this a form of slavery? On the other side, if it is true, as the Bible mentions it, that the brother of the deceased takes the right to marry the widow, isn't this also a form of making women like a commodity to be inherited?
Good. Thank you. Dr. Badawi?
No, there is absolutely no slavery if understood in the proper Islamic and Quranic terminology rather than the terminology that are commonly circulated among people. The question of obedience in Islam is not a matter of dictatorship or capriciousness, because the Prophet himself has already qualified what that obedience means. And first of all, he said, لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق, that there is no obedience due to any human being if he tells you to do something contrary to what God ordained, which means that there is independent personality, even if you are not the boss, quote unquote, if you're not the leader or